So let's look at the trades that we took and what we actually did here. Just a kind of a brief overview. So on, let's go to Monday. Monday was the 7th, right? Just a quick recap. What happened last week. So if you remember, um, at the end of 2 weeks ago, we got a signal that we really needed to consider shorting the market. It happened here. This was Monday, and this was the Friday signal right there. That was the signal to me when this broke down through the 20. Everybody see it? I'm using SPX, but I could use SPY. It doesn't really matter. But you see how the gets rejected here at the 200? We get a retest of the lower Bollinger Band. Sorry, a retest of the 20 period moving average right here, and we fail. And so I wrote something to the effect that this market is breaking down, and I'm going to take a short. So if you remember on that Friday, that's when we took shorts. Remember? We had a SPY vertical. We traded the SPY in Legacy and in Masterclass. What else did we do? We had FXI, I believe. We had JP Morgan. We had Apple. Amazon was the week prior. And we had Nvidia. And we had done SMH and MU the month prior, the week prior. Yeah. Thanks, guys. So this was our short. We had the setup. So the setup was, a number of things, but the trigger was the rejection of the 20 and price moving down and breaking down below a level that I had determined on the SPY here. And once we broke through that level, which was this swing most likely right here. Here, I'll make it a little thinner so you could see it. And I'll do it in yellow. Right here. See this swing? Boom. See it? Boom, 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 boom. Here's your retest of the 20. It should bounce off of here and not break this level. If you break this level, that means it's automatically putting in a lower low. That's continuation of this trend. Everybody understand? If you don't, you have to go back and watch this and do your homework. But that's what that is. And that's where we took the trade. When we wake up on Monday was, Monday it's starting to reverse. And we got some economic data that moved the markets higher, and then the markets moved even higher, and then the markets moved even higher. This was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But if you remember, that's tariff day. This was when Trump was going to announce at 4 p.m. at the end of the market close what was going to go on, with tariffs. We knew what was going to happen, but that was the actual announcement. And what I said all week long was that all this was an investor pump and dump. They knew it was coming here. They've been dumping and shorting all along. They bought the dip. They got some investors, retail investors to come in. They sold it off, and then they bought it back again here and draw in as many retail investors as they could to pump this up all the way up to Wednesday, end of day. And the media played along. They did. And retail investors got stuck up here. If you were one of those people that got stuck and you didn't have a plan and you didn't short, knowing that you were in a downward trend, or you didn't do a very short-term position and get out of it on Wednesday before the event, then you're trading with a plan. What I told all of you in the alerts, I'm holding on to all of my trades except for one. There was one trade that I closed, and that was a trade on, I think it was 555, 550 or something like that, SPY puts. And what I said when I put the trade on and threw out, right, um, is that 565 was my cut loss. If we got above 565, I'm cutting this loose. We did, but it sort of froze up there. But I followed my plan. I communicated it to you, so it wouldn't be fair if I stayed in it. Now, had I stayed in it and the markets rolled over, I'm a hero. But I'd also be a hypocrite. So I did actually close the SPY trade, but I kept Apple, JP Morgan, FXI. I kept those. In fact, let's see. VIX over 30 was inevitable. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see, I'm scaling out of SPY, which I did. I had rolled the FXI puts, so that was something to sell. Let's see. Let me just find it. Here it is. Here, this is what I wrote on April 2nd at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I wrote, the zero DTE traders are pumping the market before the Trump tariff announcement. Okay, that's right here. Let's put SPY on. Be a little easier for us to like look at actual price. This is the day right here. Zero DTE. Yeah, it was the 550. I think it was 555, 550. That might have been it. Yeah, I think it was. It was it. And I closed it for 92 cents. I think. Traders are pumping the market before the Trump tariff announcement, but at 565, my setup for this put vertical is no longer valid. The markets could fall to pieces in the aftermarket and tomorrow morning, which it did, but I don't play that game. I created a hedge for today. It's up nearly 60%. That was an SQQQ 25 put, I believe. Call. I created a hedge. The hedge is up by 60%, and I'm going to take a 55% loss on my SPY trade. This is exactly how it's supposed to work. No emotion, took the setup that presented, stayed with the trade. Signs of reversal to the upside caused me to be smart and add a hedge. The setup broke. Hedge is working. Take profits on the hedge, and I close out my short. I may leave a little hedge trade on just in case we gap up higher in the morning, which I did. So I closed the SPY trade for 92 cents. I closed the SQQQ for $1.75. The trade goes in the loss column on the tracker, but to my mind and mindset, it's a winning trade. Everybody understand? Everybody clear what we did there? Now, some might say, yeah, but if you just held on to the trade, look how much money you would have made. Yeah, that's true, but I don't play that game. I have a plan. I follow the plan. And am I flexible? Yes. But if my cut loss is 565, then that's my cut loss. And I teach it this way. And here's 565. That's what I said. And at the time, as we pushed above this level here, above the 20, this was in, the early afternoon, I cut it loose. Okay, but I did not cut the rest of them loose because this was a pump and dump. Apple had not broken structure. JP Morgan had not broken structure. And sure enough, I was right that at the end of the day, in the last hour of the day, they dumped. Now, this doesn't look like a dump, but trust me when I tell you that this was a dump. They brought the retail, and the reason why it didn't dump like this is because the retail investors hung on to shares and options for Friday expiration, completely oblivious that Trump was going to be speaking at 4 o'clock, completely oblivious that the media is one giant gang of liars and clowns, and that they got taken to the cleaners here. That's why it didn't drop, because a lot of them stayed in, but a lot of them got out. Yeah, Hawk, I just talked about that. So, if you're doing a long-term trend to the downside, if you're doing weekly, maybe you didn't have a chance to watch the video, Hawk05, but if you go to the Wednesday, Saturday sessions, or it could be in the New Trader Workshop, you're going to see a three-part series called How to Trade in a Bear Market. And I specifically lay out this strategy as I've been talking about it. If you're going out a couple of weeks, if you're going out monthly on this, then your hedges are going to be short term. They're just going to be Friday hedge. If it doesn't work and you still have the volatility going into next week, then you do one next week. If the trade worked, great. You roll it to the next week and go to the next level or the next monthly. And you just keep trading and trading. If it's volatile, you put your hedge on. Always, the hedge should be a shorter term. You don't want to just sit on the hedge and sit on the hedge, because typically your trend trades are going to be for next week, so you don't have theta decay, or like the next monthly trade, right? So that's more long term, and then your hedge, the other way, is going to be the short term.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video from Trade With Me Now. Make sure to go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel so you make sure that you catch our next video right when it's released. Also, if you have a question or comment, please leave that in the comment section below. And of course, if you want to learn more about Trade With Me Now or join our community of profitable traders, go to tradewithmenow.com. There's also a link in the description below.